Hey you guys, it's me again, and I'm back to do another story time. This story time is going to be my ER visit early on in my pregnancy. Before I found out basically how far along baby was measuring and how far along I really was. Um, when I first found out I was pregnant, I was basing my due date and how many weeks I was based on my last bleeding episode, which was May 22nd of this year. So that put me around 4 weeks when I took the test to find out that I was pregnant. So that's what put me at 4 weeks. So around, I'm going to say 4 and 5 weeks, whatever, based on because that's what I thought I was. All right. So around 5 weeks, everything was good. 4 weeks was good. I had cramping from the 19th over to the 5 days where I was supposed to have my period. I cramped all the way till then. Um, and fast forward to July the 3rd. July 3rd, um, me and hubby, we had a disagreement and I just started cramping really, really bad. And it wasn't a bad disagreement. It was just like I was irritated, he was irritated, and we just was bickering. And I just started cramping really, really bad. And I, being what I've been through, I immediately got scared. At this point, I would have been about 6 weeks. So when I got there, they checked me in. I had to tell them, I didn't have any live births before, anything like that. And now my computer want to act a donkey, but it's okay. I'm gonna just try to keep going with the story. Anyways, so I had to let them know that I haven't had any live births. This will be my first live birth, blah, blah, blah. So we went through that. They checked me, did everything. I wasn't bleeding. My cervix was still closed. So they wanted to take a closer look. So they did an ultrasound. And at this point in time, 6 weeks, you're supposed to be able to see a fetal pole and to hear a fetal pole heart rate. But my little bean was just in there like this, about this big all around. And the lady was like, I can't really get a good measurement, but no, there's no heartbeat, blah, blah, blah. She started to scare us. And immediately they was like, well, your HCG is fine. It was at like 10,016. HCG is fine, but we want you to do a follow-up just in case that this is a pregnancy that has stopped or blah, blah, blah. Like, they were like legitly scaring us. Like, now I'm telling the story. It's like, it was scary then, but now that I'm telling the story, it's like, when you go to the ER, like, they really over-exaggerate things. So, I think originally I had an appointment July the 19th, I believe. That was my first initial appointment that was supposed to be like my eight week, I can't even get straight, 8 week scan to do my dating and making sure everything was okay. So, I'm sorry, y'all. These was bugging me at the end. But then I went to my follow-up doctor's appointment. I had to end up going. I was in the ER from July 3rd to July 4th of July in the morning. So doctor's office was closed July 4th of July. So I had to wait till Wednesday, July 5th, and I went in for my follow-up appointment. Um, they measured me and was like, well, you're measuring by your last bleeding episode, because you don't know when you really conceive. You're measuring by your calendar, but your baby is measuring 5 weeks and some days. So I was like, huh? And she was like, well, it looks fine. Baby looks healthy. We just have to wait and see for a heartbeat to develop. So they was like, well, you're around 5 weeks and some days. They couldn't really pinpoint it because baby was so tiny and it was a bean size that they couldn't get a right measurement. So they just put it as like 5 weeks and some days. She estimated 5 weeks and like three or 4 days. So they ran another ACG level test on me, but they was like, look, we want you to come back in for another week up until your appointment, up until your first prenatal appointment. So I was like, okay, cool. So they called me back that following week before my appointment to tell me my ACG. Mind you, I just had an ACG draw at the ER the 3rd of July, and that was 10,016. I got the results from my ACG from July the 5th, and it had skyrocketed and jumped like amazingly to 6,400 and I think 65. I'm trying to remember everything. So she called, gave me a call, and was like, yeah, everything seems normal, blah, blah, blah. We're just going to get you in here for another scan, make sure everything's okay. And then I got the scan of my little bean, and then that's when I got my first initial ultrasound pictures, and they gave them to me. I was measuring at 6 weeks and 5 days, but on the ultrasound, they were still going by my dating from my last bleeding episode. So that would have put me at 7 weeks and 3 days. They didn't want to change it until my real doctor changed it. And this lady wasn't my real doctor. My doctor was out of the office on those days when I got my follow-up visit, so I had to see someone else. But she was really good. If I had to choose between my doctor and if she was on call to deliver a baby, I would want her to deliver my baby at the hospital. So, yeah. So we got the heartbeat, and that was 1:30, and they was like, okay, you're actually measuring at 6 weeks and 5 days, so that will put your due date at March 3rd, but we're not going to put it in the system until your doctor changes it. And then after that one, I had another ultrasound scan, my regular appointment, which was July the 19th, and they had told me, yeah, you're measuring at 7 weeks and a couple of days. So, yes, your due date is March 3rd. And then that's when I found out that I was measuring behind than what I thought I was. So, by me putting in March 22nd was my last period, May 22nd was my last period, that would have made me 8 weeks on July 19th. But I conceived 5 days later than what my calendar said. And what they told me was, being that I have PCOS and I don't ovulate directly on time, and I have irregular cycles, then that's what happened. I thought I conceived July. I keep saying July. I thought I conceived June 5th, but in actuality, I conceived June the 10th. So that just whole conception period process was a little confusing. I was thinking the worst only because the ER made me thought the worst at a point in time. But once I saw my little being in there, I'm just like, okay, well, maybe I'm just not measuring as far along as I thought I was. So, and in actuality, that was the case. I was not measuring as far along as I thought I was. So, yeah. But if I was measuring as far along as I thought I was, then I would be about almost 17 weeks now. So, yeah. But it wasn't like that. So, but yeah, that's my story. It wasn't really too much detail because it was basically cut and dry. They wanted to handle it in a most productive manner, in a timely fashion. So, it wasn't really like a dramatic story where all of this stuff happened, blah blah blah, and I just had so much to tell. But that was my ER scare story for my story time. Um my computer is really acting a butt right now, so I will try to charge it And then maybe, because I'm off on Sunday, I will come back and I will record my next video that I need to record and get it out there for next week. And then I will just see you guys later with the next update, or you guys can catch me on Instagram or Facebook, and I will be on those two social medias. But other than that, I'm good. We're good. Baby's good. And I will just talk to you guys later. Thank you for joining in with my story time today. And I hope you guys have a blessed day. I'm not quite sure when I'm putting this video up yet. Today is September the 15th. I might put it up tomorrow, which is the 16th. I will probably put it up before work. And it's just so much I have to do. But rate, comment, and subscribe, guys. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.